Hey everybody, welcome back to another Kaizo experience. My name is Pluto, and today I'm going to be commentating Mario of Heaven by Shikit. Shikit, of course, is a Japanese legend, very good single-star runner, very good Kaizo player, and he's made this lovely ROM hack, which is inspired based on a Flash game called Mario of Heaven. Or Tower of Heaven, sorry. Mario of Heaven is the ROM hack, Tower of Heaven is the actual Flash game. So this is a pretty challenging hack here. It's got a lot of really interesting jumps, a lot of really interesting sections, a lot of very interesting visuals, and most of all, it's very difficult, and I've beaten it, so let's talk about it. So, the first thing you might notice about the stage is that it actually has 50 red coins, but as you can see, they're kind of right next to each other. I already have 2 of them. 50 red coins is a bit of an intimidator, but yeah, you really don't need to worry too much about them because it's very easy to learn the star despite the huge number of reds. I think this might be the most number of reds I've ever done in like a stage this hard. Not this hard, but like, I don't know. Has there ever been a stage with more than 50 reds that's been on this channel? I don't know. Excuse me if I cough or sniffle a bit, I am sick. So, I'm really sorry if that gets in the way of the commentary at all. But regardless, let's continue on. So, one of the notable things about the stage is that it has a lot of quicksand textures. This darker wood here is actually quicksand. You need to be very careful on the stage because of that, because there's just so many different ways that you can die. The best way to describe the difficulty in the stage is that there's not too many actual, like, really hard-hitting hard parts, but there's a lot of smaller hard bits that really add up over time. Especially when you consider the fact that, the stage doesn't have any reclimbs. It's just kind of continuously hard, and there's like you never repeat a jump, so it's just a bunch of stuff that you need to learn and know. So yeah, there's a lot of diversity in the stage. Here we have a pretty tricky section where we have like these little slopes here. Specifically this red here, you need to jump off a slippery slope and get just the right amount of speed that you hit the lava, and then make it over to this, which is quite difficult. Although that setup makes it pretty consistent since you can just line it up very nicely. Very happy I found that. Long jump across the snuffet here, and now we can get to where the secrets path kind of begins. But we're not actually going to go to the secrets path. One nice thing about this stage is that the star endings are very difficult, but you don't really do them in reds because you get like up to them, but then you don't actually have to do like the hard bits of them, which is very appreciated, because if you had to do all the star endings in the star, it would be like really, really hard. Especially the ending to the star at the top of the stage, which is so fucking stupid, oh my god. Use the slope there to avoid having to do like a precise triple jump wall kick up there. And now long jump back here, and we're back to the little start of this little tower here, which kind of gives me a vibe similar to Treasure World Bowser 2. I don't know if anyone else thought that when they came here. I think it's like the balcony outside, which is very reminiscent of Dream Edition, or not Dream Edition Bowser 2, Treasure World Bowser 2. There's actually a snuffet at the top of this wall kick section here, which can very rarely kill you if you get unlucky, so you gotta watch out for that. Land here, and come back up here. There's gonna be a little bit of a weird little wall kick thing here where you need to go around this. And we're going to come up on what I personally believe is the hardest part of the stage, is this lava tunnel. Some of my friends say that this kind of looks like that one dungeon in Ocarina of Time, Jabu Jabu's belly, but I don't know. I can see it. The lava texture is very intestine-like. But the main hard bit is, firstly, you have to avoid the ceilings here, which are pretty low, honestly. You get very close to them, so you need to avoid them so you don't lose too much time, because this metal cap actually, well, it's gonna run out, and also it doesn't respawn, so you gotta be careful there. But the main hard part is landing on the snuffets there and me getting across the little snuffet bridge. That's actually very, very difficult. You might be surprised how difficult that is. Anytime that you get past here, it's kind of like an attempt. Although towards the end of this grind, I was actually able to get very consistent at it. In here, Shikit placed a box here, which is supposed to troll you because it has the HIFO in it, but you can actually use it to easily get up this platform. So, get destroyed, Shikit. I abused your troll. You can't defeat me. Precise little triple jump wall kick up there, where you need to get a decent wall kick frame. Right, so now we have to get this red, which is kind of reminiscent of Bridge Trudge from Treasure World. There's a lot of sections in the stage which are very reminiscent of other stages. You'll see 2 more references coming up actually after this little section, but after I get the red, I like to come back down here because lining up with this ledge allows you to have a very good angle for the section, because you can get to the end pretty quickly and then you can do this jump dive here onto this platform very easily. All you need to do is just wall kick because the ground is slippery there. Do a little precise triple jump here, an acid triple jump, or a strain triple jump if you want to be a nerd. I am a nerd, I'm sorry. But now we have to do this little slope jump where you need to go to the hole. This is very reminiscent of Rambi's Reverie, except unlike the Rambi's Reverie version, this one doesn't suck. So, not too bad. And you only need to do it once. Right, ground pound here, and now we have another reference, this time to Extreme Edition. If you're familiar with the Bowser's Quicksand pit clip, you gotta do it there. Except that's actually an easier version because it's very consistent. You do need to be careful though, because the cone at the bottom is made out of quicksand, so you need to get out the way of it. Thankfully, it's very easy to do that because it's quite thin. So if you I think I might have pointed it out, but as you can see, there's counters on the right that say whether or not I'm past the first warp or the second warp. We're coming up on the end of the first warp section here, which is generally what I would consider an attempt. If you look, as you can see, only about half the attempts would then make it past the second warp, and a very small number obviously made it this far in the first place, so it's very difficult to get past this path. Before I enter the warp, I do look at the stage for a little bit, because I did this in a VC with a friend, specifically Andrew, and he hadn't really seen the stage before, so I kind of wanted to show it to him. It's just a coincidence that, like, the attempt that he saw happened to get the star, which is pretty funny. Anyway, enter the warp, and now we're going to enter the second path. So, the way the stage is divided is it's divided into 3 different sections. You can actually choose which one you do first, with the exception of the third path. The third path does need to be done at the end, but out of the first 2, you can pick which one you want to do first and which one you want to do after. Unfortunately, you don't really have much of a choice. It's more of an illusion of choice, because the path that I did first is about 50 billion times harder than this one, so that's not to say this one's easy by any means. It has a lot of hard jumps. We're actually going to get into a pretty tricky jump here where you need to do a little bit of an interesting wall kick sequence and then do a precise jump dive at the end, which can kill you if you're not careful enough. But yeah, this path is a lot easier than the other one, so this is kind of your break. Well, before we get into the storm, that is the ending. And this ending's a long one, so yeah. Right, so the jumps here aren't too notable. They're all things that are definitely challenging, but if you have any Kaizo experience, I'm sure that you've seen stuff like this before, or you've done stuff like this before, and you know, it's really not too bad. But this section is the shell star, and you'll definitely see that the shell section is no joke here. So while the jumps here are a bit unnotable, I may as well talk a bit about the grind. This star took a little under 20 hours, most of which was attempts. I practiced for only around 5 hours and then attempted for a little bit under 15 hours, specifically 14 hours 45 minutes, so 19 hours 45 minutes for the whole star. Definitely one of my hardest stars in my opinion. I think this is my 6th hardest star, so it's harder than Dream Edition Bowser 2, but I think it's easier than Night of Doom Perfect Run. Yeah, so it's the 2nd hardest non-Dream Edition star I've ever done, because it's definitely harder than Gate of the Evil. I had a lot of fun with the star actually. There were some silly things, like I died twice at 33 out of 50 to an invisible wall, but it didn't really get on my nerves. I was able to just like brush it off and like keep doing attempts. There were points when I got a little annoyed, especially after my worst death of 45 out of 50, that did honestly make me a little bit frustrated, but I was able to brush it off very quickly and go right back to attempts, which makes me happy because it's a good sign that like my mentality towards this game is improving, but it's also a good sign that I'm just having fun with the game, that like even when I do get mad, it's like, it's very, very temporary, and I don't get like nearly as angry as I used to. It just makes me happy, and you know, that's why I feel as if I'm probably going to come back to streaming soon. Here's a little cheese. This stage is very anti-cheese. There's lots of invisible walls that prevent you from cheesing it, but there's still something that slips through the cracks, like that there, where you can skip a little slope section. Alright, now we have the actual shell bit. First you need to jump on that lava thing, which is, I think it killed me like once, because it's actually kind of precise. Now we have this creative jump here, where you need to use the shell to like fall down the lava here and grab the red. The main tricky thing about this is just not falling off. It's worth noting that Mario's model kind of clips into the lava there. I remember when me and Maria saw that, we were kind of joking about how like Mario should like come out of that as like just a skeleton, which would be a cute thing. I wonder if you could make that like decomp, where it's like any part of Mario touches the lava becomes like a little skeleton. That'd be cute. So, the blue, white, and red parts of this little greater ball here are not tangible. You will fall right through them as if there's nothing there. So, you need to go around the outer rim. The main problem is that we need to build up speed here, so you need to carefully maneuver around this, do a pretty sharp turn to land on the lava thing, and then this jumps you back to the start of the level. And thankfully though, we have a shell, which you can use to grab the star, but you can also use to climb up here. And you can get these red coins here, which would be ranging from impossible to really fucking difficult otherwise. So, thank God we have the shell. This shell section's pretty easy. You just have to maneuver around and just know where things are. By the end of this, you will have 22 red coins, and we can enter the other warp, which will take us to the final section. So strap in, because we're about to go in deep. Alright. So, first things first, let's get the 23rd red coin, which is in this little crevice here. You do need to build up some speed to grab it, because it's a very tight little hole. But, nothing too hard, you can just slide right in there. As you can see, I'm a little bit careful when coming up here, to the point of falling off. The reason for that is simple. I once died because I had too much speed, and I just jumped off. Don't do that. I wouldn't advise it. So, you can make this jump without the thwomp, but the thwomp makes it easier because it's less precise. This jump is actually very difficult. You might have noticed that I don't have any shadows because this level is very vertically inclined. And if you're familiar with Final Tragedy, you might have seen the fact that when levels get too vertical, you actually don't have a shadow at the bottom of them. And this stage has this problem a lot because there's a lot of stuff that you do at the bottom of the stage where you just don't have a shadow because you're too low. There's actually a slope section in the shell path where you can actually see where, like, my shadow, you can see, like, the exact line where my shadow becomes tangible. Or not tangible, sorry, visible. You need to be a little careful around that Goomba there, because he can bop you. I just wait for him to start chasing me and then I kill him. These walls here, I believe they change your angle, so you do want to be a bit quick. This right here kind of looks scary, but it's actually not that hard. On the other hand, though, it's very easy to trip up on this particular section here, because I think here, actually, in this attempt, I struggle very much getting out of this arch, and because I'm scared that this wall is going to like change my angle too much, I actually jump back down to the bottom, just to be a bit safer. So, a little bit of baby strats, but hey, this is the attempt I got it, so you can't complain about baby strats. So, this time let's actually make the arches. And with that, you can get up here and jump down. This section is very reminiscent of the Sukanento's Dawn Course 8 section. I don't know if it's supposed to be, but it gives me those vibes. I don't know if anyone else gets those vibes. Right. With this red, we have 25 out of 50, which means that we're, in theory, halfway there, but if you look at the time of the star, actually, yeah, we are about halfway there. So I guess that's interesting, because I always thought that the second half was shorter than the first half. But I guess they're about the same. Normally you have to do a very difficult triple jump wall kick to get past this part, but it's actually possible to just wall kick up this, and that's like way easier, because the triple jump wall kick, when I say it's precise, it's like actually really precise. You need to have a lot of speed to do it, and you need to have a really good wall kick to do it. It's just a major run killer, so I'm very happy that it's skippable, because it would have been very frustrating to die to. Okay, so a little flamethrower there. Thankfully this flamethrower isn't aligned with the actual center of the platform, so you can just ignore it. Or not ignore it, but you just like dodge it. Line up here. QSLG. You have a little tricky section. So we have some pretty tricky slopes here. The methods that I use for these slopes are by no means the only ways to do it, but they were the methods that I was the most comfortable with. So begin by ledge grabbing one of these. Go to the side. And even though the gap looks quite big, you can actually just make that very easily. We have some one-way walls here, so you can just dive into this cage. And you can use this corner here to build up speed, because it's, I don't really know the corner physics, okay? Science. Okay, so now we have two reds here. For these two reds, we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to use the little platform there to get a proper angle with D-pad up, and then I'm going to jump down for them. You can get these without jumping down, but it's a bit trickier, so I prefer to use these methods. Okay, so I come up here, grab this, and instead of a triple jump for this one, we're instead going to long jump, because it just works better. It lines up actually perfectly with the red coin. You do need to be a little bit careful with the Kuromame, because it can burn you, and if you burn here, you're in a rough position. Just be careful about that. It'll be fine. With that red done, we're pretty much done with this section here. And now we're going to do a very cinematic jump from this section to the next part of the stage. One thing that I do really like about this hack is its visuals. Obviously the visuals, some people don't like them because they kind of look a bit odd, but personally speaking, I really like how a lot of things in this game look so stylistically different from each other. It makes the hack feel kind of dreamlike or like ethereal, and I know some people don't like that aesthetic. They like more like atmosphere and realism, but personally speaking, I really like the kind of like fantasy like atmosphere and structures in this game. Obviously they're very unrealistic, but they make for an experience that's very memorable, at least in my opinion. I don't know how you guys feel about this thing. I'd be very interested to see how people feel about like the aesthetics like this, because I feel like they're very common in Japanese hacks, I feel. Okay. This section is a little weird. You can actually stand on these sides here, but you can only stand on the top one. The lower one will actually slide you off, so it's a very thin little line that you can stand on here. This section kind of looks like a pencil. When I was in 4th grade to like 8th grade, actually 4th grade to 9th grade, I had a very bad habit of chewing the erasers on my pencils. I don't do it anymore, partially because face masks, but I just had like this really bad habit of doing it constantly. So I like never had erasers because I would always chew them on my pencils. Alright. It's worth noting that there is quicksand here. It's a little hard to see because it looks very similar to the actual ground texture, but you can look closely, you can see the line. So here we need a very precise angle because we need to line up for a tricky wall kick section here. This is kind of reminiscent of the wall kick section at the beginning of the shell path, but I think this one is a lot more difficult. The camera's a little weirder and the angles are a little more specific. You have to be really careful there because it's very easy to fall under and be kind of stuck. Okay. So, unfortunate flamethrower here. It's a little bit annoying, but thankfully it lines up pretty well to just do some wall kicks and you can just dive and that'll get you around it. Jump around some corners here for the 30th red coin. We're now in 30 red coin territory. With that, we can just jump back. I'm a little slow here, but it's not a huge deal. Timer is very generous. With that, we're going to now come up. And here we have this red. This red's pretty easy. The best way to get it is a chain long jump. If you've seen Focus's theory tasks, he does a very long QSOG sequence around this. I don't really know why he did that, because you can just QSOG back to the main ground after like 4. Not even. I just do an extra safety one there, but regardless, that's a much faster way to do that section, so I'd recommend doing that. I paused one for the QSOG actually. That method for QSOGs doesn't give you a frame perfect QSOG, but it gives you a 1 frame suboptimal QSOG. It's kind of hard to explain, so if you want me to clarify more in the comments, I'd love to. I always try to be helpful, because I really do like explaining things. God, I sound like such a nerd, but I don't know, I totally understand you if you don't really get that technique, so if you're confused about it, tell me. I'll try to explain it in more detail. Right now we have this little section here, which is kind of like the Course 9 section of T-Don, except instead of lava we have quicksand. Yeah, I guess the T-Don version also has a lot of quicksand now that I think about it. This one has a lot of quicksand, and actually no lava. No. There's really nothing too notable about this section. It has some pretty cool jumps, but nothing really too difficult. The ending of the star is actually very forgiving in terms of jumps. There's a lot of easier sections where you can relax, but there are some minor difficulty spikes you need to pay attention to, so do not slack. But we are coming up on what I would personally consider the last hard jump, which is at 34 reds. And by hard jump, I mean the last notable, like, really hard jump. Like I said, there's really not that many notable hard jumps in the stage, but what matters more than that is how many kind of hard jumps there are. It really does add up, and it can be a little demotivating, because sometimes it's going to feel like you're dying to nothing, but that's never really the case in the stage, you know? The stage is ultimately, at its heart, a very lengthy consistency test, where you need to show consistency at many jumps in a row. That's not easy at all, so, you know, if you're grinding this personally, like, don't feel bad if you're dying to something that seems random, because it's not random. It's just really hard to maintain this level of skill for so long with so many variety of jumps. Here you need to be a bit careful because there's multiple invis walls. I'll show some clips of them on the screen now. There's just so many invis walls in this section. They killed me twice with 33 reds, which was a little frustrating, but like I said, I was able to just brush it off because I did enjoy this a lot, thankfully. Bit of a precise chain long jump there to land on the slope. You can do slope jumps back up, but it's a bit difficult because these slopes are very slippery. This one is a little easier to do it on because it's a little less steep than the other one. Excuse me. Right, another little chain long jump here. This one's a little less necessary, but it's just nice for safety. So here we have the last jump that I would consider like a major run killer here. The best method I could deduce for this section is building up some speed here with a double jump, and then doing a little dive off the little tip there, and that lines you up to land on the slope pretty nicely. With that, we have 35 reds, and now it's time to enter the next part of the stage, the house. And the house is really just 8 reds that are a nice little break, so there's really nothing too notable here. It'll be done before you know it. Despite there being 15 reds left, we're actually kind of approaching the end of the star here. As you can see, there's a lot of reds in very close vicinity. This one's a little notable because you need to do a little bit of a slide kick there. It's a bit tricky because of the plateau is quicksand. The edge of this little thing is quicksand as well. The blue here is quicksand. There's lots of quicksand in this house. In fact, there's so much quicksand in this house that this fucking computer monitor is quicksand. I don't know why it is, but it is, okay? I don't know what brand you're buying them from, Shikit, but you gotta reconsider your brand loyalty. Thankfully, these chairs are not quicksand, so you can just land on them. I did want to get around here without killing any bomb-bombs, though, because killing bomb-bombs is mean. Those are actually enemy bomb-bombs, by the way. They're the stationary bomb-bombs in bomb-bomb battlefields. You can't actually talk to them, unfortunately. They don't have cute dialogue. So unlike all the other caps on the stage, this vanish cap here actually does respawn, so you don't need to worry about it. Normally this is a very precise vanish cap section where you need to go really, really fast, but I found a cheese, sort of. Yeah, it is a cheese, where you can actually skip the final vanish cap requirement of a precise triple jump dive, which is nice, because as you can see here, my movement kind of sucks. I kind of made a trillion mistakes there by hugging all the walls, but thankfully, despite that, it's very easy to skip this requirement, but making it to this third one can be very tricky, but it's not a problem, because that red is actually very close, and you can just triple jump dive around the wall here. Apologies for the stutters in the video. Hopefully when I stop streaming, or when I start streaming again, that'll stop happening, because instead of frame drops, that'll just lower the bitrate. Yeah, just weave in and out there. You do have to be careful because the ledge there is made out of quicksand though. It's a little darker if you look. With that, we have 42 reds. There's only one more red in this house before we can move on, and it's in this little thing that kind of looks like a cooler. You might also interpret it as a bathtub, but it's a really small bathtub if you interpret it as that, so I just called it a cooler. The best way to do this is triple jump off the top there, because you can't ledge grab out of a triple jump, and then just wall kick in. The edge of the cooler and the inside of the cooler are above quicksand, so watch out. Right. We're back outside. We're ready to touch some grass. Something that I've never done, because instead of touching grass, I play Mario. But Mario's fun, so fuck you. That was rude, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. Anyways, a little bit of a wall kick section here. Gotta get around there. That's what you need the vanish cap for, by the way. So now we have a little bit of a QSLG section here. It's a lot of angled QSLGs, well not angled QSLGs, but you need to like move around this little QSLG factory, workshop, maneuver space. I don't know what I'm saying at this point. I never know what I'm saying. So here we're gonna grind for a firstie. You don't need to grind for a firstie here. I personally grind for a firstie though, because I think it's a little easier. It just ensures that you're gonna wall kick. And yes, in case you're curious, the dark wood here is in fact quicksand, because of course it is. There's a lot of quicksand on the stage if you can't tell. So here we have a cube. I don't know if you know this, but Tidon Course 11 star, the cubic phobic star, Shikit was actually the first person to get that star. So that's pretty cool. He also named it Cubic Territories. I quite like the name. It's a cool name. I have to think of the name for the Tidon Final Tragedy star, because I don't really know what I'm going to call it. If you have any name ideas, tell me in the comments, because I genuinely have no idea what to call it. All my names are either way too boring or way too edgy. Alright. So, now we're coming up on the very ending. Specifically, this ending is the path that's exclusive to Reds. It's got a lot of really cool things though, so still pretty interesting. Starting with this triple jump dive here. These slopes are perfectly walkable, so you just have to land up there and jump. That's red number 47, and red number 48 follows right after, because you can long jump on that. If these slopes look familiar, they behave just like the ones in Variety Dimension in KBR2. These very gentle slopes here that you can land on. These ones are invisible and there is a streak of quicksand going through them, but you can just stay on the bottom and avoid it pretty consistently. But yeah, these slopes, you can do pretty much anything on them. You slide on them, but you can also basically walk on them and you can kick on them freely. Basically, you just make your own movement here. Here we have a very weird thing. I don't really know exactly how this works, but you can actually ledge grab this platform here despite being sloped. It's actually an automatic ledge grab as well. It's very weird. I kind of like it though. Alright, so slow down on the top here. Land on the little thing here. Get red number 49, and now we have the ending of the star. I hope you're ready, because this ending is really scary. So, starting with a very precise chain long jump that we're gonna have to get. There's not a whole lot of room here, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the one of the vertexes or vertices of this little hexagon here to find a nice little line to do a long jump there. That chain long jump wasn't great, but it still barely managed to touch the Goomba. And here we have a very interesting section here. So the way this works is that the platforms there are, you can see them visually on the left, but they're actually offset a little bit. So the real platforms here are the ones that I'm on that are invisible, but they're marked a little bit to the right. It's kind of hard to explain, but you can kind of see it here where I'm so far away from that lava ball, but I still hit it. But that's because if I was to actually land on the lava there, well, I would just fall through it because there's nothing actually there. It's a pretty cool section. It's very unique. I didn't really explain it that well, but it's very cool. It's a very cool idea, and it kind of plays with your brain. There I do a double firsty trap because it's the easiest way to get across there. You're intended to do a chain long jump, but it's very difficult, so I'd prefer to just do the double firsty. Anyways, here we have this hangable ceiling glitch. If you're a vanilla player, you probably know this as pole glitch in Fire Sea. That's a horrible name for it. The pole has nothing to do with it. Just call it the hangable ceiling glitch. Yeah, but if you jump at the very, very corner of a hangable ceiling, you'll clip to the higher hangable ceiling. Pretty cool trick. Now we just have to dodge some amps here. These amps are nothing too special. If this looks familiar, you might be familiar with Treasure World Course 15, which has a similar section where you dodge amps from the hangable ceiling. The 50th red there can't be seen because I'm pretty sure it's in the ceiling, but just go to the corner there and you'll grab it just fine. And now we have the ending. I really, really hope they enjoyed the star, by the way. I really liked this, and I think this is such a cool star visually. Ironic thing to say on a hangable ceiling section, but I don't know. I just love this accomplishment. I think it's the coolest red coin star I've gotten. Besides maybe Bonds for the Future Reds. Bonds for the Future Reds is really cool. Here we have one more little trick here. You need to jump high enough that you ground pound on that, but low enough that you don't get bopped by the Goomba. Thankfully, a speedy single jump actually lines you up perfectly for that. Anyways, with that, I'm basically done with the commentary here because this is the last jump. This last jump's a little tricky because you need to do a precise double jump. You can only land on the Monka S there, right under Mario. And there's a little bit of an amp here, so you do need to watch out for that. But I'll let you enjoy the battle with the amp. I really hope you enjoyed the commentary and the star. And I'll see you all in the next video. And hopefully the next star will be streamed. But who knows. Anyways, see you guys next time. Bye. Really? Oh my god, dude.
The nerves, bro.
This isn't good for my nerves. Okay. I'm dead. Oh! Oh! Okay.
Yeah, you're dead, bro.
I thought I jumped back way too far.
Oh my god. Bro, Grant, holy shit.
What the fuck?
That was the scariest sentence.
Dude, I thought I jumped way too far back.
I was like, no, oh my god. I thought so too. I was like, wait, what?
Okay, I beat the game.
That's so scary, dude. Oh my
Thank you
god,
for
dude.
playing. Holy shit. Oh my god, I did it. What the fuck?
You, Maria, I was in here for one of these clears instead of you.
Shoutouts to Maria, she watched literally every attempt before this.
Literally every attempt I watched one. I mean... Let's go. Mario, oh, heaven.
Mario of heaven.
Go, GG.
Whew.
Good night.
How long did that take? 19 and a half hours, I think. Just barely under 20, actually. So it's like 19 hours, 45 minutes.
That was awesome, GG's.
Mario of Heaven clear.
Clear.
See you all next game, I guess. I guess let me update this counter for the last time. Not 32, 13. I did it. That one felt good.
Let's go.
Good shit.